I'd like to say good morning and welcome everyone to the City of Lawndale, our 2019 Memorial Day tribute. Today we have the opportunity to honor and remember those fallen soldiers who have given their lives in the ultimate sacrifice and the service to this wonderful and blessed nation. It's just an opportunity to reflect on all the freedoms that we have because they not only served, but they gave their lives. And it's because of those ultimate sacrifices that we are able to enjoy all the freedoms that we enjoy, not only here in the city of Lawndale, the state of California, but in the best nation on earth, the United States of America. Every day is a time and an opportunity to remember those who have fought for this nation. But in particular, Memorial Day is the day that we set aside as collective to remember those who have fought for our nation. So we just gathered today in a short ceremony just to remember those, just to say thank you. Say thank you not only to them, but say thank you to their families who share their loved ones with us as well. And I want to thank everyone today for coming to the city of Lawndale to join in this tribute to our fallen soldiers and service members. All those who would like to have a seat, we ask that you to come in and join us. If you'd like to have a seat, we do have a few more seats available. And with that, we have today with us, we're going to do the raising of the colors. Okay, the Hawthorne Junior ROTC, led by Commander Don, actually his brother Don will raise the colors, please. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Cub Scout Pack 290 of Lawndale.
Boys, come on up in front here, kid. Come on in front. Thank you,
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
Forward, right, left, left. Ready, and fire. Ready, and fire. Ready, and fire. Right, face, three, set, mark. Forward, arm, left, face, forward, arm, left, right, 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 left, left, right, 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 left, right, 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 left, left, right, 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 left, left, right. Right, on guard. Hold. Order. Mark. Left. Hey.
Let's give the Hawthorne High School Junior ROTC a round of applause. Now, once again, I'd like to welcome everyone to the City of Lawndale 2019 Memorial Day ceremony, honoring those who have lost their lives defending this great nation. With that, I want to call up our pastor and welcome Pastor Bob Dobrinsky. He is the pastor of the Way to God Church here in the City of Lawndale. He's going to give us an inspiration.
Lest we forget. Lord, I know that you do not forget the love done by others. And Lord, we need to be reminded. This Memorial Day is one of those days to remind us. At the American Legion in Hawthorne, there is a plaque by an unknown author that reads like this: a veteran, whether active duty, retired, National Guard, or Reserve, is someone who at one point in his life wrote a blank check made payable to the United States of America for an amount up to and including my life. This is honor, and there are way too many people in this country who no longer understand it, end quote. It has been 75 years since D-Day in Normandy. In 2018, there were less than 500,000 veterans alive, and those that are alive today are in their 90s or older. Will this present generation remember the sacrifices of those heroes, lest we forget. Yes, we might forget the individuals, heroes, whose names who are written on the wall, and we may even not remember the battles and the wars for which they fought. But we must never forget that freedom is not free, and we cannot take our freedom for granted. We must sometimes fight to preserve our constitutional rights and our freedoms. We must never forget to be thankful for the many heroes who paid the ultimate price for the freedoms we now enjoy. Let our military men and women and our first responders feel appreciated, that we may show loving support for their voluntary service to family, friends, and country. You may not personally know many people who are presently serving in the military, but I want to remind all professing Christians, whether you were drafted or whether you are a volunteer, that you are a soldier of the Lord. Soldiers who must still fight the powerful, invisible enemy, lest we forget the promises made to our Commander-in-Chief, lest we forget. And all of God's people said, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Dabrowski, for those words of inspiration. At this time, I would like to welcome up to the podium the council members from the city of Lawndale, my council colleagues. Let's welcome Councilmember Daniel Reed to the podium, say a few words.
Good morning. Thank you, everyone, for coming. So, as we know, special day for our memorials of all those who we've lost and who have paid our price. So I really thank you for coming out, spending a little bit of time. And I specifically offer up Petty Officer Jeffrey Anderson, a buddy of mine, lost on active duty.
Thank you. Councilmember Pat Kearney.
Good morning, everyone. I want to thank you for all coming out to the memorial service today. I have a little speech I want to give. If I take any thunder away from our state, federal, Lieutenant Colonel Aaron, their thunder, well, none, I can just speak first. I want to take you on a little trip, what Memorial Day means to me. So sit back, relax, and with my granddaughter, Sarah. Let's take the journey with Kearney. Let's go back to Concord, Lexington, Valley Forge, move forward to the War of 1812. Let's move forward to Gettysburg, Small Round Top, Vicksburg, Petersburg. Let's move on. Those are all domestic wars we're in. We had Civil War, brothers fighting against brother, family of family, but they were all Americans. Let's move on to the foreign wars, starting with War of Teddy Roosevelt, the Rough Riders, Bunker Hill, moving forward, the Mexican-American War, which Teddy Roosevelt wrote in, World War I, gas, the Kaiser, trying to take freedom away from everybody. America's soldiers were there. All right, let me rephrase that. American military people were there. We move forward to Second World War. Let's go to Sicily. Let's go to Normandy, Omaha Beach. Let's go to the deserts of the Sahara in South Africa. American servicemen were there. Let's move on to Korea. Hoshin Trail, the cold winters. The Americans outnumbered 2-1, 3-1. We had American soldiers fall in there, military personnel fall in there. Let's move on to something I know, Vietnam. The siege of Khe Sanh, the Tet Offensive, the Ho Chi Minh Trail. 58,000 of my brothers and sisters passed away there, giving their lives for this country. Let's move on to Iraq, urban warfare. We have military service men and women there giving their lives for their country. Let's move on to Afghanistan, mountain fighting. Again, we have military service men and women giving their lives for this country. Let's move on to maybe the future, Croatia, Venezuela. I'm sure we'll give up military servicemen in there. Let's take a trip down 405 freeway towards Santa Monica by the VA hospital. Look to your right. You'll see the memorial. The memorials crosses in the Memorial Service Park for all the men and women that gave their lives for this country. Let's take a trip to Washington, D.C., to Arlington Cemetery, to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldiers. Let's take, personally, I want to mention the wall behind me. There's 22 Lawndalians that gave up their lives to this country, and they didn't ask for anything back. 10 of them were Vietnam veterans. 8 of them were my colleagues, my friends, my schoolmates. The other 11 were World War II veterans. So thank you for taking the journey with Kearney and remembering what Memorial Day means to me. And I want to God bless all of you in attendance. God bless the City of Lawndale. God bless our first responders, our military men and women that are serving here and across the world. And God bless America. Thank you.
Please welcome to the stage Councilwoman Flores.
Good morning, everybody. So Pat kind of left a tough act to follow, but we do appreciate you coming out, and most importantly, we appreciate what this day means and what it means every day. And so also to remember those family members that also paid the ultimate sacrifice and all the freedoms that we enjoy. And so for me personally, it's trying to remember every day that sacrifice. So when I get up, when I stand, when I put my right hand over my heart, that is what I remember. And thank you all for coming.
Thank you, guys. Thank you to my council colleagues. At this time, I would like to also acknowledge the presence of our city clerk, Rhonda Hoffman-Gorman. Rhonda, wave. Okay. And also like to note the presence of the First Lady of Lawndale, Lena Pullen. Now, at this time, you know, we always have some special guests that come to distribute here in the city of Lawndale, and their schedules are pretty busy for this holiday season, but they always take the time to come to the city of Lawndale to pay tributes, to help us pay tributes to those who have fallen in defense of this great nation. At this time, I would like to introduce to you a very special guest. She really needs no introduction, but I'm going to give her an introduction anyway. You've seen her on fighting for us in the halls of Congress for years in the city of Lawndale. I remember there was a time when we didn't have such a type of representative in Congress, and for the past, I believe it's like 15 years or so, we've had a fighter in Congress who's been there for the city of Lawndale and for this region. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage United States Congresswoman for the 43rd Congressional District, the Honorable Maxine Waters.
Good morning, Lawndale. I am always pleased and delighted that we honor those who have sacrificed for us on this very special day. and to be invited to the city of Lawndale that absolutely stands out as the city that cares about its soldiers, its veterans, and all of those who have paid the price for our freedom. Let me just say, Mr. Mayor Robert Pullen-Miles, James Osborne, Mayor Pro Tem, Pat Kearney, Daniel Reed, Bernadette Suarez, thank you for your service to the city of Lawndale. And I must always remember my dear friend who welcomed me to this city when I was reapportioned into this district many years ago, Mayor Hoffman. And I know that the Hoffman family, who loves this city so much, are always in attendance. Let's give Mrs. Hoffman a big round of applause. And of course, Rhonda, who was introduced also as the city clerk. So let's give them all a big round of applause serving this city. And so our state elected officials are here today. Assemblywoman Autumn Burke, Senator Steve Bradford, and of course, the director of the West Water District, Don, where are you? Please stand and get a big hand, everybody. Don Deere, thank you all so very much. We are absolutely blessed this morning because we are going to hear from our keynote speaker, who is Lieutenant Colonel Erwin Goulden, who will be introduced fully to you in a few minutes. But I thought I would preempt that introduction just a little bit, not to talk about him, but the fact that she is married to Colonel Ryan Goulden, the Deputy Director, Military Satellite Communications, Space and Missile Systems Center, and they have two daughters, Mara and Ansley, and they're here with her today. And they usually forget to introduce the family, so I'm going to do that. So family, thank you for being here. Please stand and get a big round of applause. So good morning, and again, I'd like to thank Mayor Robert Pullen-Miles and members of the Lawndale City Council for inviting me once again to join you for your Memorial Day commemoration. Ladies and gentlemen, Lawndale, it is always a great honor for me to be here with you, especially on a day when we take time to honor and remember the brave military service members who paid the ultimate sacrifice in defense of our great nation. Today, the United States of America takes time out to observe Memorial Day. Since the beginning of our nation, patriotic men and women have stepped forward to serve our military because they believe in the ideals the United States stands for: peace, liberty, freedom, and justice for all. Many of those men and women sacrificed their lives for all of us and for our country. On Memorial Day, we pay homage to their sacrifice. Today serves as a solemn reminder that our security and liberty are possible because of the men and women in uniform, spanning every generation since the Revolutionary War. Memorial Day has its roots in Decoration Day, a day when Union Civil War veterans honored the soldiers who had died in conflict. To help heal from the tragedy of the Civil War, Americans across the country decorated the graves of veterans with flowers to symbolize the renewal of life. This tradition of unity, life, and remembrance continued for decades. In 1968, Congress passed the Uniform Monday Holiday Act. Since then, Memorial Day has been observed on the last Monday in May. As you may suspect, Californians are well represented among those brave men and women who have served in the military. Our state is home to nearly 2 million veterans from diverse backgrounds, more than any other state. As a representative of the 43rd District of California in the United States Congress, I'm forever committed to the brave men and women who put on the uniform in our great country and volunteered to protect our liberties and our way of life. And so the residents of this community and this state deserve the opportunity to say thank you to some of the bravest Americans who have ever lived, and remember those that may have lost. That is why I worked for 2 years to bring the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Replica, which travels across the country as part of the wall that heals exhibit to California so we could pay our respects to those we lost during the Vietnam War. With the help of the city of Gardena, this memorial traveled to California last year and was visited by thousands who paid their respects to those military service members we have lost. So, to truly honor the more than 1.1 million Americans who have passed away in the line of duty since the Revolutionary War, we must do right by their brothers and sisters in arms and support the veterans who return home. That is why I will soon introduce the For-Profit Fraud Act, which will close a legal loophole that encourages for-profit colleges to take advantage of veteran students. Last year, I also introduced the Protecting Benefits for Disabled Veterans Act, which protects benefits for veterans who are unable to work due to a service-connected disability. This summer, I will continue my commitment to care for our veterans by introducing a bill to support the well-being and health of women veterans. Women veterans are the fastest growing demographic within our service ranks, and the contribution they make to our forces is immeasurable. Yet tragically, women veterans often suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder and are at a higher risk for suicide than non-veteran women. My bill addresses these critical issues by increasing funding to both the Center for Women Veterans, an office I created, and to Veterans Affairs programs that support women's health services. The bill also establishes a new program to aid women veterans in all facets of our lives, from education to child care to housing. By improving how we connect with and support women veterans, we can dramatically change their trajectory after their service. Before I go any further, and before I go through all of this about what is going legislatively, I must speak to a tragedy in our society, and that is this. There are 552,000 homeless in our country on any given night. 40% of those are veterans. And while I say that it is a tragedy, it is unconscionable that we don't move more rapidly to deal with this homeless problem, and particularly those, again, who have serviced and sacrificed for us, who are sleeping on the streets of America. Of the 550,000 people experiencing homelessness again, there are 41,000, I want to remind you, of veterans. After having faithfully served our country and defended our freedoms, our veterans deserve a safe, affordable, stable place to call home. And so, I've introduced a very expensive bill. This is a $13 billion bill. The number is H.R. 1856. It is the Ending Homelessness Act, and it would end homelessness for all of the currently homeless persons in the United States, including all of our American homeless veterans. This bill is expensive, I know, and I'm going to hear some complaints about how much this bill costs. But, ladies and gentlemen, if we can talk about a subsidy for farmers for $16 billion because they're supposedly hurt by a trade policy that was introduced by this president, if we can spend $16 billion for the farmers who say they don't want a subsidy, they want trade, then we can certainly spend $13 billion on homelessness and deal with our veterans that are on the street. And so I would like to just wrap this up by saying, remember 1856, I want you to get on the internet. I want you to get on your Twitter, I want you to get on Facebook, I want you to get on Snapchat, whatever it is you're involved with. And I want you to do everything that you can to support us in getting this legislation passed. I know that we don't usually use this time advocating for anything in particular, but I always break the rules, and I'm breaking the rules today because I want you to stand up to get rid of homelessness and get our veterans off the street. Thank you so very much.
Let's give Congresswoman Maxine Waters another round of applause. Thank you, ma'am. At this time, I'd like to introduce another friend to the city of Lawndale, a fighter in Sacramento who's been fighting on our behalf for countless of years. Even he was a friend even before he got to the That means I didn't want to do the math. But he's been a friend ever since he's been a council member in the neighboring city of Gardena, and he's always here for the city of Lawndale. At this time, I'd like to welcome to the stage the Honorable Senator Stephen Bradford. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And first, let me say thank you to each and every one of you who made this morning a priority, because you are saying thank you to the men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice to this country. The day is not about a day off. It's not about barbecue, which we all probably will have some good barbecue later on, but it's about paying tribute to the men and women who fought both foreign and domestic in defense of this country. And let me leave you with this. Don't let anyone tell you that America isn't great. America is great and will remain great because of men and women like that who have put on this uniform since the beginning of this country and will continue to put on that uniform. So America is great, and it doesn't get any better, and I want to thank the men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice. So thank you for being here, and thank you all for paying tribute. And I quickly just hit certificates on behalf of the State Senate for our keynote speaker. I'll leave that up here at appropriate time. To our Boy Scouts, our Cub Scouts who were here today, and to the Junior ROTC on behalf of the State Senate. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Bradford. We're fortunate in the city of Lawndale to also have a fighter in Sacramento representing the city of Lawndale in the state assembly. She's been fighting for the city of Lawndale for the past 5 years, so we have double protection both in the assembly as well as the Senate. Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard her name and you've seen her face and you've seen her in Sacramento just fighting on our behalf. You get an opportunity to meet her today. For those who have not met her, she's always here in the city of Lawndale fighting on our behalf, and she's always here at this event as well. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and welcome to the stage. She's happened to be someone that I happen to know as well. That's kind of like an inside joke, but besides that, she's doing a great job for the city of Lawndale in Sacramento. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Assemblywoman Burke.
Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mayor Pullen-Miles does double duty. He's your mayor, and he also represents you in the assembly as our district director. So we want to give Mayor Pullen-Miles a round of applause for double duty. I also want to thank the Mayor Pro Tem, the council members, and everyone involved today in reminding us, remembering those who paid the ultimate sacrifice for our nation. I'd also like to thank our keynote speaker, Lieutenant Erin Golden. Go girl. I'm happy to see a woman here. Thank you for your exemplary service to our state and country. And finally, thank you to Pastor Dabrowski for your inspirational words. I think we do remember. I think we will make sure that every generation remembers. I have a 4-year-old daughter, and every morning we do, what are we grateful for? And that's how we will make sure that our next generation remembers, reminding them about today, what's important. I wear a necklace that says, love freedom. And I wear it every week because I don't want to forget, and I don't want my daughter to forget how important and how blessed we are to live in this great country. I'd also like to thank Hawthorne High School, Naval Junior ROTC, and I also have to thank the Boy Scouts 290. You guys did an amazing job. Thank you for spending your day with us. Today we remember the men and women who gave their lives to provide a free and democratic society. Our freedoms are so tied to our identity as Americans, which we sometimes take for granted, but not today. On this Memorial Day, we commemorate the sacrifice paid by our fellow Americans and honor their sacrifice by living out the freedoms we hold because of their sacrifice. Tyrants rise to power by dividing our once united nation. They slowly convince the citizens of this great country that there is a threat not from a tyrannical regime outside of our country, but from our own countrymen who happen to be different in some way. But America has always remained united around our uncompromising value that freedom and equality belong to all Americans, no matter our religion, race, age, gender, or sexuality. It is a country where we recognize the equal contributions and the competence of women. A country where we can worship the God of our own understanding, where women have the right to decide what to do with their own bodies, and everyone has the freedom to peacefully protest injustice rather than resort to violence. People around the nation are posting flags and flowers at cemeteries to commemorate our heroes, their mothers, their fathers, our sisters, our brothers. We must commit ourselves to not only remembering those we've lost, but to cherish those that we are fortunate to still have with us today. While we can never repay the debt we owe to the men and women who have sacrificed their lives protecting this country, we can honor their memory by constantly striving to uphold the freedoms for which they laid down their lives. As your Assemblywoman, I know it's my responsibility to do everything I can to improve the lives of the people of California. So in a state, like the Congresswoman said, with one of the worst poverty rates in the country, I fight daily to end child poverty. We are a state that says that we're the 5th largest economy in the world, yet we still struggle with homelessness and poverty. I'm really proud to fight with my fellow legislators like Senator Bradford to give Californians the opportunities that they deserve, not just to survive, but to thrive. I am also proud to stand behind our veterans and their families, and I'm excited to see this year in our state budget, it reflects our priorities by committing $600 million to the Veterans Housing and Homeless Prevention Act. We most definitely support, Congresswoman, what you are doing. We thank you for your commitment, and we will be with you every step of the way. We are committed to our continued support of military men and women. We must stand together to fight for equality and justice, for giving a voice to the voiceless, and to ensure opportunities to those who have none. This is what our veterans fought for, and it is our responsibility to protect and participate in the democracy they died for. Thank you again to the City of Lawndale for your continued commitment, not just to this holiday today, but making sure that the lives of those people who live here in the City of Lawndale is always improved. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you, Assemblywoman. At this time, I'd like to bring back up to the stage the Honorable Maxine Waters.
Thank you. This will just take a moment. I must give the certificate of special recognition on the occasion of your 2019 Memorial Day ceremony honoring the brave men and women of Lawndale who made the ultimate sacrifice for our nation by giving their lives during military service, and in appreciation of the city's proud tradition of never forgetting those who died defending our great democracy. I give one of these every year, and I want to cover the walls of City Hall with my little commendation, so I could not forget that. And I asked my husband to join me. This is my husband, Ambassador Sidney Williams. I'm talking about not introducing other families. I forgot to introduce my own. So this is Ambassador Sidney Williams. Please thank him for always being here with us. Mr. Mayor, this is for you, this is for the city. Thank you so very much.
Let's go.
She's gonna take a picture.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congresswoman. Okay, he's already been mentioned, but we want to also mention is joining us today, because I did have him in my script, the Honorable Don Deere from the West Basin Municipal Water District. Thank you, Don, for joining us. And Don is always here, and we appreciate that, Mr. Deere, for joining us today, Director. Okay, at this time, I'd like to introduce to you our very special guest for today, our keynote speaker, Lieutenant Colonel Erin Golden. She is the Lieutenant. Golden is presently serving as the Material Leader of the Global Positioning System 3 Directorate at the Space and Missile Systems for the United States Air Force at Los Angeles Air Force Base in El Segundo, California. The GPS-3 system, satellite system, provides the next generation positioning, navigation, and timing services to civilian and military users worldwide. Lieutenant Colonel Golden entered the Air Force in 1998 after receiving a commission through the Reserve Officer Training Corps, program at Pennsylvania State University. She is married, as you heard earlier, to Colonel Ryan, and they all, there you go. He happens to be the Deputy Director of Military Satellite Communications at the Space and Missile Systems Center. And they have two wonderful daughters who also have joined them today as well. If they can wave again. There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, we're proud to have the U.S. Air Force joining us for the last few years, and we welcome to the stage, ladies and gentlemen, Lieutenant Colonel Erwin Golden.
Thank you, everyone. Good morning. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. Mayor, thank you very much. Senator, Congresswoman, and all of the leadership, whether you're city leadership, state leadership, national leadership, it truly takes leaders to make this country the wonderful country that it is. So I appreciate everything that you do, everything that your families do. And again, thank you for the honor to be here. On behalf of the women and men of the Los Angeles Air Force Base, it truly remains my honor to be able to stand in front of you today to remember those that have paid the ultimate sacrifice in service to this nation. Memorial Day was established as a holiday in 1971, and it's a day to remember the fallen in all the wars and our conflicts. More than 1.1 million men and women have died in wartime throughout the span of our nation's history. So to put that into perspective, because that's a hard number to kind of rationalize maybe, it's a quarter of the population of Los Angeles. That, of course, doesn't take into account those who are wounded or are missing. That number's closer to 2.8 million, which would be 2/3 the population of Los Angeles. So these numbers should truly humble us, as they represent people, individuals, our brothers, sisters, fathers, mothers, children, friends. There are people that have been woven into the fabric of our communities all across the nation. They are loved, they are mourned, they are eternally missed, but are never forgotten. So recently I had the opportunity to visit the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library just up north in Simi Valley. And it's truly a remarkable place, but one area that was uniquely special was the exterior courtyard. It overlooks the peaceful valley, and there stands something called the Gold Star Family's Memorial Monument. And a Gold Star family is an immediate relative of the U.S. Armed Services member who died in battle. So the monument was dedicated last fall to honor these families, to preserve the memory of the fallen, and again, stand as a stark reminder that freedom is not free. You see, when you look at the monument, you see 4 panels. Homeland is written on one of them, and it reminds us every day to remember our beloved country and who we should stand very proud to be a part of. The second panel states the word patriots, to remind us of the Americans who inspired generations and continue to inspire the generations, and who fought so courageously to protect the freedoms that we have. The third panel says the word sacrifice. Sacrifice to honor those who fought valiantly to preserve our way of life. The fourth panel says family, dedicated to those who stood willingly by our side, and a reminder of those who are left behind to forge a new future on their own if we should fall. So between those 4 panels is a hollow silhouette of a saluting soldier to remind us of the void that's created when one is lost in service to the country, making that ultimate sacrifice for peace and freedom. So Memorial Day provides us a chance to reconnect with our loved ones, absolutely, and reflect on that genesis that makes the nation, all of our nation's and numerous freedoms. But it's also an important day in which we should ground ourselves in the reality that I guarantee you every Gold Star family knows, that our way of life has been shaped and made possible by those who served, but by those who are lost. So I ask you this afternoon at 3 p.m., observe one moment of silence or reflection of your choosing for the national moment of remembrance. And take a moment to pause and remember and reflect on those fallen men and women, such as Lawndale's finest that you see behind us on the wall. But whether or not your loved one is on the wall, maybe they're on a wall elsewhere, maybe you find them only in your heart, I ask that you remember those 1.1 million Americans who gave up all of their tomorrows so that we can stand proudly and have our own. Some of them gave their lives on the blood-soaked beaches of Normandy. Some may have been in the jungles of the South Pacific, or over the skies of Nazi Germany, or perhaps Imperial Japan. They may have fallen on the icy slopes of the Korean Peninsula, the rice paddies of Vietnam, the deadly streets of Iraq, or the mountains of Afghanistan. But we are here today in thanks to those who are not. So working together with our friends, our colleagues, our neighbors, our veterans groups, all the leadership across our entire communities, we can ensure that the sacrifices that were made by our nation's finest men and women never go unappreciated, and that their memories are truly never forgotten. Today is about honoring their legacy and their families, and about how they inspire all of us who continue to serve today. So I truly am honored on behalf of the 1.3 million men and women who currently serve, their families, their loved ones, all of the men and women currently at the Los Angeles Air Force Base, but truly on behalf of an entirely grateful nation. We salute the fallen, all of their families, and we will never forget their ultimate sacrifice. Thank you.
Let's give her a round of applause. Thank you, Lieutenant Gordon, for the keynote, that wonderful keynote. At this time, I would like to acknowledge and see if there's any war veterans in the audience. Any war veterans? Any war veterans in the office? Any war veterans joining us today? Okay, all right. So first we want to acknowledge those who have fought in the war, and then we want to invite those who have served, whether they fought in the war or not, to join us on stage. If you are a veteran, please join us on stage. Let's give it, yes, absolutely. So we just want to take this opportunity to thank all our veterans who have served this great nation, and just give them an opportunity to share with us like a 30-second, a soundbite. Give us your military service, the branch that you served in, and in the era, if you will. Let's start with Colonel.
Hi, good morning, everyone. As mentioned several times, I'm Colonel Ryan Golden. I'm still on active duty now. Been on active duty for about 23 years now, and still proud to serve. Thank you very much.
Bob Dobransky, U.S. Air Force, long time ago, 62 to 66, the Vietnam era.
My name's Ed Dunn. I was in the Marine Corps from 1959 to 1963.
Oscar Bernal, U.S. Marine Corps, 52.
Dan Reed, U.S. Navy, USS Vandergrift, 1985 to 1989.
Kim Reed, U.S. Army, Air Traffic Controller, 1975, 1978.
Terry Roan, U.S. Air Force, May 68 to November 70. I was a disabled veteran, came home early. I'm fine.
I always have something to say. And they did not die in vain. I served in World War II on a small amphibious ship in the large Pacific Ocean, which tossed our ship around like a toy in a typhoon. And they did not die in vain because we're here honoring them today. And I want to thank Lawndale and thank the mayor and all of you who are here every year to honor our fallen heroes. So many thousands have died, and the best thing we could do to honor them is not to get into wars that are unnecessary. You know, what we can do now is make sure we vote for the people who are not warmongers, who will make money on wars. And not send our young people to get killed so they can make money. Now we know, right now we have warmongers who are looking forward to war. And anyway, I want to thank Maxine Waters and Steve Bradford and our Assemblywoman for their good words. And I thank them, and I wish you all peace. May the peace of the Holy Spirit descend on us and stay forever. Thank you.
Tom Strickfaden, United States Navy, 1978 to 1983.
Let's give all our veterans a round of applause. Oh, you want to get a picture? Oh, sorry. At this time, I want to recognize the presence of our school board member from the Lawndale Elementary School District, Ann Phillips, in the back there. Hi, Ann, thank you for joining us. Well, this concludes our ceremony for the 2019 Memorial Day, and I want to thank everyone for coming out today. I want to let you know there's a continental breakfast in the back. I want to thank the city staff for all their hard work and all those who attended today, because we know today is a busy day and you have a lot of things you could be doing, but we want to thank you for joining us in this tribute to our fallen heroes. The city of Lawndale wish you and your family a safe and enjoyable Memorial Day, and we hope to see everyone back again next year. Thank you.